the Higgs world. We bring interesting research forward and make it accessible to everybody. Because research is beautiful. Today, we are going to learn about flying squirrels. Safi is going to walk us through her paper and her fieldwork she executed in Malaysia. This story is going to be split into two parts. The first one covers the research subject itself, and the second part covers her fieldwork and the team she built, experiences she had with local population there who helped her in executing the research. So enjoy and do share this story and this paper with your friends. The link will be provided below. And if you know anybody else who wants to get featured and is interested in sharing their research story, sharing their papers, do let us know. Enjoy and thank you.
Yeah, so part of the reason I think it's important to acknowledge the forest spirit concept or the ghosts being present in forests is because for a lot of people that live there, that's real. Like, I'm not here to say it's not real. I'm not here to say it is real, but for them it is real. And that's important to respect and acknowledge and understand that also, we're trying to help people get involved in night walks and to experience the forest at night. There are several people who are scared because they are scared of these spirits and these ghosts. And I think to also go out there and show, hey, look, I'm thankful and the forest has rewarded me, like allowing me in. I think that's super important. It doesn't matter whether I believe it or not. And it doesn't matter if it's real or not. It's real to someone. And you are on someone else's land, someone else's world, someone else's forest. And I do think that's an important thing to respect. And especially, we're trying to get kids involved to grow up and be able to see the forest at night and for them to respect it too. And if that's important to them, and it's important to me to make sure that we don't create some kind of separation just because in some cultures we might not believe that's a thing at all. And it's very dependent on where you are. Obviously, different countries have different beliefs, even different tribes in Sabah will all have their own beliefs about the forest for sure. And I just, I want to pay my respects to the forest for keeping me safe because the forest can be a dangerous place. It could be a scary place. It's why we don't do field work in heavy rain, for example. It's too dangerous. But I was kept safe the whole time, and I know there are incidents in the world where unfortunately things happen, but whether that was a spirit or not, it's okay. I'm happy to say thank you. I'm not mocking it. I wouldn't ever mock it. I think it's paying respect to someone else's beliefs in a way, basically. I've come to this territory and I'm trying to be respectful, I think which is why I think it's so important to have mentioned it, really.
Yeah, I think, the First Nations culture that we have in Canada and elsewhere, the natives who live there, who are always living in forests, I think there's their philosophy. I think it's amazing that even in research, you do take into account, these facts and beliefs that you see across. And the RDC is an amazing place, right? You were just mentioning before we started talking second time is yeah, like it's a controlled environment, but still it has its own roughness. Still has its own nativeness still intact, right?
Yeah, it's a really interesting place because it really is at the edge of a primary forest. And primary rainforest is sparse these days, particularly in somewhere like Sabah where there's been a lot of deforestation and logging. And I think it's super cool that the RDC exists. It allows people to get a snapshot into what a rainforest is truly like with kind of, the safety things in place, make sure you feel safe and you're not at risk. And obviously there's always some risks, but that's life. But the amazing things that tourists get to see, and mostly in the day, but they run these night walks. And it allows people to see some of these amazing species that we study. And actually, because a lot of them are quite active at sunset, it's really good because they get to experience, the first part of their walk kind of during dusk. So it's not too much of an adjustment. And they get to see the forest at night. And something that's super cool also about the RDC is that they've just recently in June switched to red lights. Then they're the first place in Sabah to do that. They've switched all their night walks to red lights. And I think that's a huge achievement. And that came from seeing this study and seeing what we were doing and seeing, and then teaching them about, other places that do red light surveys, such as all the loris research across Asia. And, they were really like keen on, helping make, they were really keen on when you're educating and getting the public, whether it's local or, foreign tourists to come in, it's teaching them all about it. They've made a little booklet about it and they've got a sign up as well there. So, they listened. And I think that's because I didn't just we didn't just turn up and say, hey, we're doing this research, this, let's leave. It was, hey, we want to be involved. I love the RDC. I miss them. I can't wait to go back.
Yeah, and I think your philosophy and with the submission that that you gave to the forest, to the people there, to the to the nature, to spirits who are there or not, and that came a long way. I think you were working with them rather than being coming from outside, rather trying to assimilate with the nature, with the people, with the local environment, and that's why you got a lot of support and help. Local knowledge they wanted to share with you. So I think you had a good team there, right? You had DJ, I think you mentioned, correct? If I'm correct.
So for my research assistant, I had my main research assistant was JT.
JT, yeah.
Local, so he does more than just the night walks. He obviously works there full time in the day as well. Like he's incredible. And there's a group of them. They do that. They work very hard to maintain the RDC, keep it going. Then you actually have the management teams that work more with the education side and the community engagement side. So I got to work with them. They were all really fundamental in things. Then you actually have the Forest Research Centre, and I got to meet some amazing people there. Dr. Robert Ong, he was key in making sure this research went ahead. Dr. Priscillia and me were very keen on making sure we made these connections and spoke to everyone pertinent to both research and the permit. It was just amazing. And so Priscillia works at the University of Sabah, and her boss, Dr. Henry Bernard, he was my counterpart for my permit and my visa because he's a Sabahan. And, I'm just very blessed that all these people were so keen on helping with research and collating this kind of team, considering I'm just kind of a random outside researcher, I guess, who doesn't live there. Dr. Priscillia lives there, Dr. Henry lives there, Dr. Ong obviously lives there, and Ben, she is the head of the RDC. She's incredible, has an incredible team of women who work relentlessly to make sure the RDC stays and improves. And that was what was amazing, is it was the integration of it all. And I really felt like I was brought in and welcomed in. And I feel like that's also just the spirit of a Sabahan.
Yeah.
Such a lovely, welcoming feel like got fed so much delicious food, you know. And I think part of research with animals is that the people are just as important. Like you have to connect with people, particularly if you're choosing to go and do research elsewhere. You know, I could have chosen to stay in the UK and done research here. That's fine. But I just happen to just be in love with these like tropical nocturnal mammals, and I just need to be in that forest, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I think this is it. You need to connect. And I think that's, you need to have passion, you need to have emotions, you need to feel from within that you want to do it. And I think and that comes across, I'm sure, with others who work with you. And that's why you were successful in getting welcomed, not only by the people, but by the forest spirits and the animals there. It was they have better senses than us. They know who is threatened, who is not. So if they're there, because they wanted to be seen, they wanted, so it's all things have to come together. So yeah, no, it feels like it's an amazing experience. So next time you go there, it'll be something totally different. You have built relationships, you build bridges, you trust them, they trust you, you respect the local culture, the people, the environment, the forest, and the spirits in there. And I think that has taken you a long way. So this is I think you got to build this up, right? And take it to the next level, and
Yeah.
come with it's a great experience for you. And I think people who want to learn from you, budding researchers, they should really understand the second part of our discussion that we did today is research is much more than writing papers. So there's a lot of stuff goes behind it, which you clearly articulated well.
And I think collaboration is just
Yes,
also super important, and not just like for me and my, as I talked about my collaboration, but you know, hopefully I've put this out and people know that there are places that they can go to do this kind of research. And also I'm hoping, I reached out, I found a way of like contacting these people and saying, hey, can I do this? And it's a bit scary sometimes to put yourself out there and figure it all out. And but one, I had amazing support, obviously, but I want people to know that putting yourself out there is also a key thing to do to to make things happen, to push for research, because if we don't push, it doesn't happen. And I think that's super important too. And I like literally encourage people to, if they want to do certain researches, to contact people. Honestly, a lot of researchers love being able to talk about their work. They love feeling acknowledged and appreciated because we all work really hard.
yes, you
And,
do.
and I love to hear from people. I do message people and I do want to know. And, sometimes you're reading papers and you request it from like ResearchGate. And, people are very happy to collaborate and talk. And I found that with this other paper I'm doing on bioacoustics. I'm a novice at bioacoustics. I never studied it in detail. I've had to teach myself it, but I found people and I reached out, and Dr. Priscillia also had some contacts, and you just you you find that there's just such a good community
Yes,
with sharing and collaboration, and I think that's just so important.
yes,
And it doesn't have to be with other scientists. It can be with, you know, locals or people that work with conservation projects that just do, practical conservation rather than like research. And there's just so much to expand upon. And I think we can make such a big difference if we work together.
yeah. And one thing that really intrigued me, I know your experience at the forest center there, specifically on squirrels, but when you went there, you must have seen other nocturnal animals and species there too. Like, so, there must be some other data that you must have found which was not
Yeah,
related to your
there
paper,
is.
right? So I'm expecting something new coming out of that, like not only squirrels, but you might just discover something that, you know what? I never thought of that, or someone didn't think of that, just because you were there at the right place, the right time, with the right people, with the right technology. Much more beyond than squirrels, right?
Yeah, there's definitely data that can be um turned into a paper down the line, whether it's just that from that or whether we expand upon it with extra. I'm also excited to see what other people come out with, because there are other people working on different nocturnal species and they're not as yet published necessarily, but we know it's happening and it's exciting. And it's exciting to see if other people would like to come and work with us. And, it's just, it's cool as well, because there are like, I got some volunteers from different, like, I got one from the UK, I got one from America. Like, it's amazing that you get to introduce people and give them an experience as well in research without them having to commit to the sometimes, I guess, the hard grind of actually doing it.
Yeah, yeah. No, no. This is spectacular. I think thanks for expanding on your, field experience and experience in Sabah. That's a spectacular place to be, you know.
I'm also just extremely lucky because mosquitoes don't really like me. So I'm also quite blessed.
Well, thank the forest spirits, I guess, right? They're protecting you, they're
Yeah.
helping you, they're making sure you progress and you're welcomed. And I think and jokes aside, I think that is really important. That you paying respect, and otherwise it won't go in the right in where it's going. So I think that's a big part of
Hmm.
people aspect that's really key, right? So anyways, this has been really good extended discussion on your field experience, especially at the Forest Center, and how you can approached it from a people perspective, from a technology perspective, how you leverage local relationship, how you engage other researchers, brought collaboration together, and that created a platform for you to grow yourself, learn new skills, expand your boundaries, and go into completely different areas. And it's onwards and upwards from here with a lot of help from others. And I'm sure you will also, down the line will lay ground for others to follow you, right? Because I think it's the baton has to be passed
That's what
on.
I hope.
Yeah, yeah,
I hope people, other people than just me, I don't need to be the
yeah,
only expert or one of the only experts. I want more and more people. I
totally.
want us all to get involved and help our flying squirrels and help our nocturnal mammals.
What a way to end it. Thank you so much again, Safi. You've been phenomenal, and thank you for all the hard work. And I think we will upload the second part following the first description of your first part of your amazing journey writing a paper. It's a story. It's not a paper. It's a story. People need to realize a research paper is a story. There's lots of things happen behind,
Hmm.
and I think that is the main objective of this discussion. So, Safi, thank you again. Please pass on our regards to all your team, to the forest spirits, and everybody who helped you
Thank
to
you.
bring this forward. And we will be in touch. Appreciate it. Thank you, folks. Have a good day.
That was an interesting paper and interview. Hope you liked it. Please follow the links to review the research and further details. Please like, share and subscribe. Also, here is a quick snapshot of our work. See you next time.